guys. Happy Friday. Mabel has joined us for a minute. She might walk out, but assistant in the classroom today. Okay, lay down. Okay, so today I am not going to take a long video. It's mostly just your guys' work on this narrative writing, which is actually really fun. Don't look at it as like, oh, we have to write paragraphs. This is a chance for you to kind of write about whatever you think would happen next in this story now that we are done reading Dark They Were and Golden Eyed. So you know what happens. You know that they turn into Martians the longer that they're on Mars. And now astronauts have shown up there 5 years later now that the war is over on Earth. And I want you to say what happens next, okay? The main thing is with this is that you are including dialogue, so when characters are talking back and forth, and I'm going to show you that when that's on here. Usually what 8th grade has seen when we were doing these short story units at the beginning of the year is that there are like short videos when we watch like the Tall Tale Heart and things like that. But there's actually not a video on this story. But there is something that's actually really cool. It's a car radio audio, like a radio play. Back in the day when they didn't have TVs and things like that, what they did was they would record it and then put it out on the radio. And people would sit around the radio and they would listen to it with their families. And it would be like a play, but you would have to imagine it all in your head, which actually is really good because last week you guys worked on imagery and you had to close your eyes and imagine it anyway. So that is going to be linked right at the beginning if you want to listen to that first. It's really it's like 20 minutes long, but it's basically like a movie for your ears. And it's a really fun thing, and it's going to give you guys some ideas as to how to write your next chapter, because it's not just the audio of this story. It adds a few things in like movies do. And then also I included a comic strip in there so that summarizes it. It makes it really easy. There's a couple pictures in there, so you'll be able to look at that and you can come up with some things for your next chapter. So let's take a look at narrative writing planning. Super simple. There are a few questions that I want you to think about, and you're going to bold it on so remember you highlight it and then hit that B. And you guys are going to decide a few of these questions before you get started on writing. So the important thing is you're changing the point of view. We worked on that last week. So you need to decide, are you writing this from Harry's, the dad's, Harry Bittering? Are you writing it from his point of view? Are you writing it from Cora's, who's the mom? Are you writing it from the astronauts that visit 5 years later? Are you doing it from a Martian's point of view? Whose point of view are you doing it from? And I want you to bold that. That's how you're going to have to write it the entire time. So you need to think, am I writing it in first person or am I writing it in third person point of view where I can see how it's written now? How I can see everyone's point of view, or when I only see really one point of view. So let's say, for instance, you did Harry, the dad, Mr. Bittering. Everything would be written in I, and you're not rewriting the story. So you're not saying, I woke up one morning on Mars and I said to my wife that we needed to go back to the rocket. You're not redoing the story. You're writing the next chapter. So at this point, at the end of the story, like I said, new astronauts have come to rescue them, but they don't see them there. Why? Because all the Earth settlers that were there from 5 years before, including Harry and his family, are now Martians. That's why they were dark and golden-eyed, okay? They turned dark from all the sun, and they turned like the color of an alien. And then their golden eyes are those golden eyes that eventually changed and they look like the Martians now. So these astronauts think that they all died off, but really what happened to them? They turned into Martians. So you can write it from Harry's point of view and you would say, oh, astronauts showed up 5 years later, just like Laura said they would, when they finally got the rocket remade. We're Martians now, okay? But like we saw yesterday with theme, they don't really have the same memories. So you can kind of go back and make them have memories, or you can have them start off, what are these creatures? You know, if it was Harry, what are these creatures that have just landed on our planet? Who are they? What do they want? Okay, you can write it that way. Then you need to, so like I said, so is it first person or third person? You need to decide if you are writing it, you, the narrator, is a character in the story, which would be one of those characters, or is it third person and you're on the outside and you're talking about all the thoughts and feelings of the character? Then you need to talk about what I want you to bold for number 3. What other characters are you going to include in there? It can't just be one character. There needs to be other characters in there. And then what is the setting that you're going to have? You can also create your own. You can create your own new characters, all of that kind of stuff. Completely up to you. I want you guys to get really creative with this. This is why it's narrative writing. It's creative writing. It's all up to you and where you want this story to go. The very most important thing is that you are not retelling the story we already read. You are writing a completely new chapter. Okay, so what would happen next? If Ray Bradbury continued writing, what would happen next? There are some notes for writing dialogue that I'm going to go over really quickly, and then I'm going to let you go off on your own and do this. So, rules for dialogue. There are a lot of videos that are already linked on there. Just go on there, click the links, and watch those videos, and then I don't have to sit here and talk to you guys about this same exact thing. But you need to make sure, if you're having a character speak, one, you skip a line, right? You skip a line, you put your quotation marks, you start with a capital letter, you need to have a comma, quotation marks at the end, and then who said that, okay? So there's no Earth settlers on Mars anymore. They all must have died, said the astronauts, okay? And that would be how you do your dialogue. There is an example of an incorrect way to say it, an incorrect way, and then a correct way. And if you look at the correct usage on here, every time somebody speaks, you need to put a space. Okay, there needs to be like a little bit of a gap, and you go to the next line. That makes it very easy to read as you're going through. Strong narratives must show a clear point of view. Use narrative techniques such as dialogue, pacing, description, reflection. Use transition words and phrases like next, then, after. Use high school ready sentences and structure. Make sure you have periods. Make sure you have capital letters. All of that kind of stuff. It needs to be high school ready. None of this just like no punctuation throughout the entire thing. If you're typing it, it makes it way easier. You can even type it on your phone and it'll tell you where you misspell things. It'll tell you where you need to put periods and things like that. So it's much easier than if you're handwriting. Now, some people like me, I like to handwrite things, but then you need to make sure that you're going through and that you're putting the punctuation and that it's nice and organized. So then you're going to have those review videos. And here's your prompt, and then I'm going to set you to go. You're writing the next chapter, so you're going to type your response to the prompt right down here on the classwork in the box below. So if you're handwriting it, it needs to be on a separate piece of paper with your name on it. You need to take a picture and you need to upload it. It's very important that you're hitting the turn in button on your work so I can see that you've done it. If you can't figure out how to upload a picture, please just text it to me and I will grade from there, okay? But try and upload it so that I can see all your work. Your response needs to be at least 1 page. It can be as long as you want, but it needs to be at least 1 page. We're trying to get a nice, good chapter for what could have happened next. And then you guys don't have an exit ticket for today. Enjoy your weekend. You completed week 2. I'm very proud of you. I miss you very much, and I hope you're staying healthy. Bye, guys.